Welcome back to the Robin Harris Show, Health and Health Insurance. I'm so excited because we have such a special guest here today, and that is Kari Gray. She is the founder and CEO of the AlternaCare Foundation. Kari is a humanitarian, problem solver, researcher, health advisor, and thought leader, reinventing healthcare and health insurance holistically. She is a luminary for the sustainable wellness by living prevention, and that's hashtag prevention, not prescription. Faced with her own health crisis at age 25, Kari was diagnosed with terminal liver cancer and survived by reinventing her health. Vowing to make a difference, Kari has taken her talents in business to make a difference by paying it forward through her AlternaCare Foundation. Kari, thank you so much for being here on the Robin Harris Show.
Oh, Robin, it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
When I first met you, I don't know how long, it was about 5 years ago, that's what attracted me to you, was what you were doing in the field of health, healthcare, and health insurance. You are a trailblazer in that. I want to start with this, Kari. What is the AlternaCare Foundation?
Well, thank you for asking. AlternaCare is a 501c3, and our mission is to ultimately save lives. And we're doing that by reinventing the processes around health, healthcare, and health insurance, three topics that most people don't understand. So we're here to advocate, innovate, prevent, and protect. And you'll find more about that here in just a minute, how we're doing all of those things.
Well, we were talking this week about what we're going to talk about. And we have to choose a subject. You're such a wealth of knowledge that we have to make just one topic because there's so many things that we can talk about. One of the things I asked you, I said, can we just define what health is?
Well, do you want to pull up the website and we'll kind of talk about that? Because
yes.
We have information there to share. Just go to alternacare.org and in the menu, look at Health Reinvented.
Okay, we're there. So I'm where it says, welcome to Health Reinvented with AlternaCare, and then it says health and then reinvent.
Yes. So the definition of health, if you notice, it's a noun. Okay, and what does it say?
State of being free from illness or injury.
That's right. So what most people think that health means is being diagnosis free, but that's not what real health is. So we have to really define health to have a healthy conversation about the topic around health. Health is being in an optimum state of wellness. That's what health really is. It's not about a diagnosis. And just to illustrate this point, I was healthy. I'm 25 years old. Yes, I had my health problems, but I was very healthy. But when I went for a physical, in 2 doctor's visits, I came away with first an MS diagnosis, and then the second one was terminal liver cancer. So everybody's healthy until something happens.
Right. And then I've seen that people say, oh, I'm healthy. I just take a cholesterol medicine or I take a high blood pressure medicine. But
right.
If you're healthy, well, why are you taking the medication?
There you go.
Or why does the doctor feel you need the medication?
There you go. Right.
Going back to that, I'm going to go back to your website because I want to know, what is health reinvented? So here's the definition. Did you want me to read that?
Yes, please.
Reinvent, verb. Change something so much that it appears to be entirely new.
There you go. So we've heard of things like, repurpose, or we've heard of recycle, but to reinvent is to give something such a new perspective that it's not even the same as what you thought it used to be. So a remodel. That's what we're really talking about, health remodeled. So when we're talking about health reinvented, the connotation actually leads into other conversations around things like healthcare and health insurance, because they're also interconnected.
I notice when health insurance is in the political talk, and this is a non-political show, I make that clear. Mm-hmm. But one of the things I notice in the political talk is when they're talking about health insurance, they call it health care. You notice that? They'll say
Yes,
they're messing with your health care, but
Yes.
they're actually talking about health insurance. They really have it mixed up, don't they?
Yes, they do. Agree. Well, there's a lot of things that are mixed up, and no wonder people are confused. I call it confusion by design.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
All right. Did I disagree?
So,
Well, it's for profiteering. We understand.
well, that's
that.
right. And so,
There's
it's
a lot of money
analysis
here.
paralysis. If you keep people confused, then you keep them in control. Really, what our mission here is to educate, enlighten, and empower people to understand that change is within our grasp. And that's what we're going to talk about on this show today. And it really starts with this lifestyle that we call living prevention. So that's really how the change starts, is making a choice to change. And on our website, we talk about the 6 pillars that is the foundation of the change that we're bringing.
You developed the 6 pillars, which is a paradigm shift to optimal living.
Mm-hmm.
Can we start with the first step of the 6 pillars?
Yes, absolutely. So what I've done is I've tried to take and simplify things as much as I possibly can to, again, educate, enlighten, and empower people. What I've done is taken these 3 fields that are very, very confusing to most people: health, healthcare, and health insurance. And how do we distill it down into 6 action steps that anybody can take? Okay. So step 1, or we call it pillar 1, because it's the foundation of what we're building here, is when we make the choice that we don't like what's going on and we are looking for change. And we look not just outside for change, but we look within. So in other words, we're willing to change ourselves. We're willing to change, our habits, our lifestyle. Like, change is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And choice is the privilege that we each get to make. The steps we make today are going to be the future that we receive. So, choose wisely. That's what we're here to say. Choose wisely. So we want everyone to realize that we hope that people will feel empowered to start making new choices.
The word choice is a powerful word, because a lot of people don't realize they have a choice.
Yeah, they feel very emasculated. And again, that's how monetization happens, is if you don't realize you had a choice, then you just continue to do what you've always done because you didn't know there was ever a chance for change. And that's what we want people to hear, this message for change.
And then the second step is find your tribe.
Yeah, find your tribe. I want to illustrate pillar 2 with what happened to the largest retailers in the world. Okay, Walmart and Costco. These are 2 great examples. So a number of years ago, the organic movement, because there was such a disconnect between the GMOs and the Grocery Manufacturers Association refusing to label what has pesticides on it. So then the organic certification became we'll just do this another way, right? So people can look for the organic certification to know that this is a pesticide or a GMO-free, grown crop. So the demand for that became so profound that it shifted the buying direction of the largest retailers in the world. That's the power of a tribe. If you want to reinvent health, healthcare, and health insurance, and you want to do it holistically, we've got to come together, because only when we come together can we create impact. That's where change happens. We'll talk more about that in pillar 6.
Kari, I don't know anyone else who's sending that message out. I know that there's a lot of people that have websites, organizations, shows, things in this. I don't know anyone who's saying, let's come together so we can make change.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and you see people protesting for change, and you have these movements for change. The way change starts is with people. It doesn't start with government. It doesn't start with corporations that are profiting from the status quo, but it has to start from the people who say enough.
Yes. Your next step is Health Reinvented, building an academy. Can you tell us about that?
This is where we really, again, remember I said educate, enlighten, and empower. So nothing changes unless something changes, right? And the first thing that has to change is that people have to start prioritizing health education. You know, people are very career focused, right? And they're money focused and they're investment focused and they've got all these focuses. But you know what? There's nothing more important than your health. Ask any person who's lost their health. They will tell you, you have nowhere else to live if you lose your health. Okay? So what we're doing is putting together an academy that will distill and make the things that have been made so complicated doable, actionable, something that you can look at yourself and go, hey, I need to stop buying this, or I need to stop doing this, or I need to stop, hanging out with these people or whatever. So I call it the no vice community, because this academy will walk you through a process so that you can become certified, so that you actually know that you understand all of this stuff, and that you feel empowered to now know how to take it to the next step, which is making those changes. Right now, we're all creatures of habit, and granted, change is not easy. I'm living proof. I completely resonate with that message. I know how hard change is. However, I also know how doable it is. And when we change what goes on here, and we leave it's called the stinking thinking, right? And we don't think like, oh, I can't do that, it's too hard. And we say, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm just going to make this choice to change. And here's one of the things I want to say why resolutions fail and why diets don't work. Because
diets don't work.
Right. Because it didn't become a lifestyle.
Yeah. And
it's not like a diet for 3 months or 6 months, and then you go back. It becomes you. It becomes part of who you are. So that's what, right. Nothing changes unless people get educated. And that's why this humanitarian work of making education something that people can implement. Because, like, for instance, Prevention is a magazine that's been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the things I'm sure you've heard people say, I'm sure I've said it, you've probably said it. Anyways, point is, people say, I know what I should do. And then what comes next? But. And as soon as people say but, they've just disqualified everything that was said in front of them. I know what I should do, but. Okay.
But if I recall in that Prevention magazine, then they have a lot of drug ads in there.
That wouldn't surprise me, because pharma's got a lot of deep pockets. So
and Reader's Digest was the same way. But I mean,
and that's the reason why living prevention isn't just about knowing what you want to do or knowing what you should do. It's about applying it.
It is.
It becomes your lifestyle. So, going back to pillar 2, when we're talking about tribe,
mm-hmm.
we call it the preventer's tribe. So if you're living this, you are a preventer, right? You're not waiting till there's a problem. You're proactively, not reactively, addressing the changes that you can make personally that are so powerful and so impactful that people just don't even realize how impactful they really are. And that's what I want people to know. So that's what the Academy is about.
Well, the thing is, Kari, you're walking the walk. And the reason why, age 25, terminal liver cancer, never took a chemo, never took radiation, never took surgery. And look at you, skin, beautiful hair.
Thank you. Well,
alive.
Yes, alive, right. Well, I've been very blessed because I had a really awesome health coach. She was a naturopath, and she walked me through a lot of things, and she introduced me to so many things that actually go into pillar 4. Let me just recap. So in pillar 3, it's how health is reinvented. Health is reinvented by our members knowing what health truth is.
Mm-hmm.
Pillar 4 now is where we're at, right? So pillar 4 is about healthcare reinvented, right? So again, all these things are connected. So now that people have more knowledge, now what kind of healthcare? Well, once you start understanding how the body really works, that's what we want people to do in the Academy, is start understanding how you get to optimum health and wellness, how that really works, right? How you can live prescription free, how you can live the quality of life that every human being on this planet deserves to live. Okay. But the problem is that things can still happen. Even when you're proactive, things can still happen, right? So now this is where the rubber hits the pavement. Okay. So in pillar 4 is now we're talking about healthcare reinvented. And in order to illustrate this, I want to say that if you think about, there's 3 sciences that medicine is built on. So chemistry is the first.
Wow.
Okay? And that's what pharmaceuticals are. They're basically chemistry. Okay. And depending on how the age of your audience, some people might remember commercials on TV for years that would say life made better through chemistry. Okay. And that was the plastic industry. That was where, the Rockefellers brought their fortune in and they, brainwashed people, think plastic's everything. And now we've got an ocean full of plastic, right? So, okay, life made better by chemistry, not true. The second science is biology, germs and, viruses and bacteria and all those things, right? That's the stuff you see under a microscope. That's biology. That's where conventional medicine, that's where a lot of medicine is. Conventional medicine, complementary medicine, right? Okay, so they're in biology, okay. But there's a third kind of medicine, and this is physics. And in physics is an understanding of what's called the quantum field or the quantum energy field. It's a field of energy that is like a fountain, okay? And every single one of us has this. But it's something that nobody talks about. I mean, very few. The people in the quantum space talk about it. They understand it. But if you're looking from a conventional standpoint, they don't get this because they're not educated about it. So anyways, I was introduced to this energy field medicine 30 plus years ago. And
was this from your mentor?
Yeah, my health coach, right, my naturopath. And how she introduced me to it was she introduced me to what's called kinesiology.
Oh yeah, love it.
Maybe people have heard of kinesiology, but that is a form of energy medicine. Okay. Because the body is electrical, okay, and it has electrical field. And when you're using resistance, you're finding where weaknesses are. You're finding where, like, the cord on the appliance has a cut, and now the electricity isn't flowing. Okay, so that was when I got first introduced to this field of science. It took me a long time to figure my way through it, and I'm still never going to figure my way through it entirely, but I have a much better grasp of it now. Yeah. There's just a lot of things that Nikola Tesla discovered and some other brilliant minds of the past that they understood the body dynamics and the energy field. And thankfully, we have this today. So this is really 21st century healthcare.
There's others not as comprehensive of what you're doing, but I know there are practitioners that are using these techniques, but you're talking about educating people about it. Absolutely. Right. Well, and that's where healthcare has to change, because what we're doing is making this primary healthcare. How revolutionary is that? I call it the big picture, big mission. And you have to understand when I'm giving you all this explanation, what I'm telling you is that this is all very new. We are yet to launch this project, but right now what we're talking about is personalized care that's non-toxic, non-invasive, and extremely powerful. Okay, it will untangle you. People get in so many entangled knots from trauma, from toxins, from the things that, we have this like baggage that we're all carrying around, right? And that's why, like, sometimes when you're around people and you're like, wow, their energy is just amazing, like you can feel it. Well, it's because they've unloaded that baggage. Probably they've been doing some housework, some deep cleaning. But so often what happens to us as people is that we keep shoving all the drawers and the closets and the cabinets, and everything just keeps getting shoved away, and eventually disease manifests. I didn't get remission until I dealt with all the emotional traumas that I had been subjected to as a child. And that's the reason today these are called ACEs. They're called adverse childhood experiences, and they have to do with trauma that people have that, left unresolved, results in disease. Every disease starts with an emotional trauma. Cancer is one of those for sure that manifests. I know someone out here in Phoenix metro area. He calls himself Coach Kenny. I definitely would have to ask him to come on the show, but that's what he says. When I first heard him say that, I repelled the thought that every disease starts with emotion. But, it was one of those thoughts that I had to really give it some thought.
Yeah.
And I realize it's true.
It is true. Well, I will tell you, just to prove the point. So with my naturopath, I changed my diet. I changed my lifestyle. I changed my toxin exposure. I changed my toxin load. I mean, she had me doing I was spending thousands of dollars on all of this, right? And I was doing so many things. And finally she said to me one day, I can't help you anymore. And I was like devastated. I said, what? What do you mean? And she said, because what's wrong with you isn't all of this. What's wrong with you is something is emotionally still wrong. And so she sent me to a different practitioner who did that kind of work, who did that kind of energy work. And I'm going to tell you, he opened up the bucket. I mean, like the fire hose. I mean, I was like, wow, I could not believe the stuff that I was carrying around. And when you have liver cancer, just as an example, the liver it does like over 500 functions. But one of the emotions that liver stores, because the brain can't deal with things, so it like uses organs as like storage places. So the emotion that liver holds is anger. So I had a lot of reasons to be angry. There were a lot of things that happened to me at a young age. And when I resolved the anger, remission resulted. I'm going to tell you, emotions are so much more powerful than people give them credit. And so, so often people are brainwashed to believe that this is all genetics. It's not genetics. This is trauma that creates a block in the energy field. And it's like the body has a language.
Right.
Okay. If you've ever tried to learn a foreign language, it's a real learning process. That's what the body is speaking in. It speaks in its own language. And until we learn what the body language is, how could we ever start having optimum health and wellness? That's why Pillar 4 is so important to this 6 steps to change.
I was talking to one of my clients yesterday. She has 3 boys, and because of this whole lockdown thing, some neighbors were getting upset because they were playing on the street. I mean, the kids are locked in their home. They have to do all day at home school. And I was thinking, just by what you were saying, what is all this going to do mentally to people? I think it's going to affect them, and it's going to affect their health. It's supposed to be about health, right? The whole lockdown thing. But I think it's going to have an opposite effect. I was concerned about that.
You're on point, my friend. Has nothing to do with health. But if the government and the powers that be were so worried about health, they would have never allowed GMOs. Okay?
Yeah, GMOs are awful.
That's right. If they were really worried about health, there would be so many things that would be proactively have been resolved a long time ago. This is not about health.
Right.
That's another show for another conversation.
Yeah, that's another conversation.
But you're right. And in fact, I've watched some of the doctors, pleading with people as far as this lockdown, that the damages to the children are going to be far worse. The children almost have 0% contraction of COVID, because they actually have an immune system that works.
Yeah.
If they haven't been completely crippled by toxins. So, anyways, it's not about that. There's a whole nother very dark topic here.
And now there is the 5th pillar, which is health insurance reinvented.
Yeah. Okay.
Health insurance reinvented.
This is again, where we segue, because, right now, and I know this because it happened for me, whenever you choose a holistic course, you're also choosing self-pay. Because if in most any policy, it used to be called a nuisance claim, and a nuisance claim was, small claims. So in the nuisance category of insurance, they put, your 10 or 12 chiro, acupuncture, or massage, right? So they'll give you this little bit, but that little bit is not a healthcare plan.
Yeah, we'll give you 10 visits for the whole year.
That's right.
Maybe.
And they know that. So the bottom line is what Pillar 5 is about is taking the best of the best. I call it the uncommon sense approach to solving this very complicated problem, which is, how do we manage the cost of care in a way that makes sense for everybody, in a way that is sustainable? Now, the first caveat to this is for people who follow a plant-based lifestyle. And the reason why Pillar 5 is exclusive to people that follow a plant-based lifestyle is because many of the lifestyle diseases that people have, and in fact, I think there's at least 14 of them, come about from diet. So if we're going to change the cost of care, remember, this is the thing that gets people so upset, because when you look at health insurance premiums, they've gone astronomically up, right? So if we're going to rewind or reinvent that outcome, we have to start making big changes. And one of the big changes that people can do to help themselves is to lower the stress that they put on their body by not having to digest things that are very, very hard on the body. We don't have the teeth. We don't have the teeth to grind up things that are from the animal world. I'm sorry to say, but we don't. We have an herbivore teeth. All of our teeth are smooth. That's for grinding, plants and seeds and vegetables and fruit. It's not for shredding meat. If we were canines, we'd have all of those incisors. And the other problem is, and you can research this. I've done my own research.
Yeah.
Because I used to be a carnivore, but I have not been for quite some time. But my point is if you look at the digestive tract of a carnivore versus an herbivore, what you'll see is an herbivore has a very long digestive tract. So when an herbivore is eating meat, guess what's happening? This is where a lot of the digestive issues are happening, like the cancers and whatnot. Because again, if you look at a carnivore, they got a straight shoot, literally from top to bottom.
Really, that's interesting.
They go through food really quick, okay? Because they've got the digestive system, they've got the teeth. All of these things are designed for their diet. So my point is, for people who want to control the cost of healthcare, and they want to get in this tribe, because you can only be in here if you're an AlternaCare member. Okay, mm-hmm. So if you want to be an AlternaCare member, you don't have to be part of this sharing community. That's what it's called, AlternaShare. You don't have to be part of it if you don't want to. But if this makes sense and you want to be able to have that member privilege, then the first caveat is you live prevention and you follow a plant-based diet. So anyways, and so
and we'll go to Pillar 6 in a moment, but mm-hmm. you have the AlternaCare Foundation. Mm-hmm. So it's an umbrella. It's mama, right? Yeah. It's mama. And then under here you have the babies. So what are the babies?
Yes, that's right. So AlternaShare is just a really innovative way mm-hmm. of managing as a group healthcare costs without using health insurance, without going bankrupt, by having to self-fund your own care, and without having to go alone. And this is where, we're layering this. So think about it like this. So the first layer is education. The mm-hmm. second layer is we have the coaching. Okay, so we're coaching people to help them. So that's kind of, I didn't mention that in Pillar 4, but coaching is inside of Pillar 4. So we want people to get their questions answered, to really have a coach that's there for them. Okay, now in this other layer, this is where when the big things happen. Now we have a community that we're putting monthly into this pot, like you do with insurance. Uh-huh. But you're putting monthly in here.
Or a health share.
When someone in the community actually has something that happened, and I will be the first to admit, energy medicine, holistic medicine, it doesn't solve every problem.
Right.
There are going to be times that we're going to need conventional medicine. But see, this is allowing all medicine access based on the need, instead of just saying, nope, you can't have it. If it's the best thing for you, then that's definitely the right that you will have to have those costs shared. To illustrate, if you get a broken leg, you need conventional medicine. If you have cancer, you're going to want to have a holistic option.
Right.
And that's what this is about, bringing all the medicine together, putting it inside of a community that is sharing a lifestyle, and by being proactive, they can control the cost of what that is, because we don't have people living with reckless abandon here. Yeah. We've got people that are like-minded sharing that.
Because what I've done for myself, Kari, is I have a catastrophic, I actually have it on a health share chassis. Mm-hmm. That's all I have. Mm-hmm. And then I have supplements in there for critical illness, terminal, that will pay me cash mm-hmm. so that I could go and do whatever kind of treatment I want, not what the health insurance tells me I can have.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're basically saying is what I've designed with all these different policies, you're going to be putting together in the AlternaCare.
Exactly. And the difference is this is one of the things that I observed, because originally this all got started when I was in insurance. Okay. So, and let me just kind of go back. So when I was diagnosed terminal, I had health insurance. And my practitioner said, "You have health insurance?" I said, "Yes." She goes, "Well, none of what I'm going to tell you they're going to cover, and it's going to cost a lot of money." And I said, "Okay, I can accept that." I mean, it was like, this is the only choice I have, right? So I'm going to do this. Fortunately for me, I was in a financial position because I owned a business that I could afford to do what so often people can't. So often what happens to people is that when they get this diagnosis, they lose at least 2/3 of their income after a long period of time of losing their income. And then by the time they're on 2/3 of an income, now their costs have increased. That is not a financial vehicle to get you well. So the concept here is to think forward, right? To make the decisions today that the tomorrow you is going to be glad you made. And by being proactive, not reactive, and by realizing that things can happen, because they do happen, right? Is to be prepared, right? To be prepared, to prepare for things that can happen, but by having this community model, knowing that the financial burden that people have is not on their own shoulders. But the one thing that I realized when I was in insurance, and I was looking at this from the life policies, like you described.
Right, because Kari Gray was an insurance professional, and so she's coming from, her knowledge is coming from that background.
Right. And so when I was there, one of the things that I saw, though, with people is that when they get big cash injections, they often don't make wise financial decisions. Let's just say, for example, that a person wants to do in-home care. They want to do in-home cancer care that's holistic. Well, the sharing community will help them with that once they meet what's called an IUA.
Right.
That's like an insurance deductible, right? That's okay. Or let's say a person, things ever change and a person wants to go to Mexico and they want a holistic treatments at the Hope for Cancer. That's okay. That's going to be something that our community would be able to support because it's in line with what we're doing. But if, on the other hand, like I said, somebody has a broken leg and they need surgery, well, that's not the place for holistic medicine. Now we need that emergency care.
Right.
But again, that's part of our sharing community. See, so just using what I call the uncommon sense, because while this should be common sense, it doesn't seem to be.
It's common sense to me. That's why I've designed the plan I have. I do not have a traditional health insurance. Right. I've designed my plans. I'm a health insurance planner. That is what I do. I design my plan. It's absolutely beautiful, but it takes into account what I need, what I want, holistic treatment, all of that.
Right.
But what you're doing is you're putting that together for all people, not just for one person. That's
right.
wonderful.
So you don't have to be an insurance professional to get this figured out.
Right.
So you can be just an average person who, just wants to have the freedom to make choices that are unorthodox. To be able to choose things. So what we have right now, I've vetted about 40 different modalities that, are very effective and based on the diagnosis that a person would have, because statistics say that prevention is 70 to 80% effective.
See, Kari, that's why I always end the show with the best health insurance is taking care of your health. Because when I was sharing today the different policies that I have, those are because people have diseases.
That's right.
But what if you don't have those diseases?
Well, that's right. Why do we wait till we have a disease before this becomes a priority?
But disease costs money. It costs money. You have to pay for it before you ever get it, and then when you get it, you have to pay, and then the aftercare goes on forever. But I want to go into pillar number 6. Nothing changes until the money changes.
That's right. So again, going back to the illustration of Costco, for example, right? or Walmart, right? These large multinational corporation retailers. So the way that the demand for organic food changed those retailer shelves, the way that the whole plant-based community demand for meat alternatives, like these things are changing retail behavior. But anyways, the point is that if you really want to make change, you vote with your dollars. Because when you stop rewarding corporate bad behavior, you start making change. When you stop doing business, when you stop doing things like buying a GMO or buying, Monsanto's Roundup, when you start making these kinds of changes collectively, millions of people, oh, guess what? You just shift the paradigm.
Yes.
So that's why if we want change, we have to stop talking about change, and we have to make our buying decisions match our morals. If we really want change, then change the way you spend your money. And that's why we invite people to do one of three things. Join us as a member, to donate, and any donation helps, right? So to donate, or to join us as a volunteer. Let's say people say, well, I don't have any money. It's okay. If you have talent, if you have time, if there's something that you have that could make a meaningful impact in this movement and this cause, then we would love to talk to you. So
how can someone
be a people movement for everybody?
So let's briefly go through that. So if somebody wants to be a member, how do they do that? I want to go to your website.
Yeah, so when you go to the website, if you
let
just
me
look
do
in the
that.
menu, it says enroll.
Okay, we're going to go
So
to...
membership is a very low cost point of entry. A single person is less than, it's like $1 something a day. A couple or a family, two or more people, anyways, is $2 or $3 a day. It's all very low cost. But what we're all about is we're looking for early adopters. We're looking for people that this message makes sense to, and that they say, let's do this. Right. And so like initially right now, what we're looking for is about 2,000 people that want to change this healthcare scene with the cost sharing. And so we need at least 2,000, somewhere in the 2,000 to 5,000 early membership. If we have that many that would join us as a member, then we can really, that'll give us a pool of money to start working on the cost share, because the cost share is a part of the membership. So I want to make that really clear. Nobody has to go into the cost sharing community that they don't want to, and not everybody qualifies to go into it. So that's okay. The membership is like, think of Amazon Prime membership. So Amazon Prime membership gets you member exclusive privileges, but it doesn't get you everything on the website. So AlternaCare membership is going to get you the education, and it's going to get you the community. There's things that you'll see when you look at the enroll page. You'll see those things listed. We have a whole list of benefits, and we have a member exclusive website that members go into, where we start creating this change. Right?
And this is AlternaCare.org.
AlternaCare.org, right, is where this all starts at. Yes.
Now, how does somebody become a volunteer?
Well, that's a good question. If you look on the if you look in the menu where it says enroll, I believe.
Okay.
I'm going to
go back there.
So we have an organization that we collaborate with called Volunteer Match, and at Volunteer Match we put up different needs that we have for volunteers. So people can, or they can just email us if they want and say, hey, blah blah blah. So anyways, but that's those are like really specific things that we have need for. So
Kari, I know there's people listening to this and saying, I want to talk to Kari Gray because she's an innovator and I need to speak to her. Because that's how it was when I first met you. I was like, does she have a phone number? I need to call her right now. Who is she? Who is this woman? And so would you be so kind as to give your email and your phone number so those people want to speak with you can?
Yeah, sure. So you can reach me at Kari, Kari, at AlternaCare.org.
Okay. All right.
And my number is 707-742-3554.
Right. Okay, that's wonderful.
If I'm not available, I always return calls. So.
Yes, you do. Kari, this is so interesting. so interesting. I when you and I get on the phone, we talk a long time, and because we have a lot in common. We love to talk about health, and we love to talk about innovation, and you're all of those things. Kari Gray, founder, CEO of AlternaCare Foundation. Thank you so much for being on the Robin Harris Show today.
Thank you, Robin. You're a wonderful, wonderful friend, and thank you so much for all you do to help people be able to make better decisions based on the education that you're sharing with them. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.